It's like quite seriously. 4 years ago, in 2020, I had no kids. It's an incredible thing to think about. I had 0 children, and now I have 3 children. And I'm so serious when I say that I was so concerned about Kamala winning that my husband and I were having serious discussions about what will happen, what can we do, what is our option. And I know that we're not the only family that truly thought about where will we go if America turns into a communist country. That's a very scary realization that we got this close, that would even be a concern and a conversation, that you're looking at a map of the world and thinking like, are we going to be one of the ones that can get out? It's very scary, and that's where we were at. And for the first time, that feels like in a long time, so many families across America are going to be able to sleep soundly tonight, knowing that they don't have to have that fear for the next 4 years. It's incredible. It really is an incredible evening. And, I think one of the things that's going to be interesting to see is how they pivot, because the game is over. The game is over. They threw everything at the wall. They tried to create a candidate out of thin air. This used to work for them. A Beyonce endorsement used to work for them, and it's no longer working. And I think one of the most incredible stories is going to be Black America, and I have to tell you how good I feel about that, because when I said it years ago that we were going to Brexit, that people could do this, and I'm not kidding, people at that time that were in the Trump campaign that are in it now nearly laughed me out of the room with Charlie Kirk. They said it's not even a thought that Black men and women wouldn't vote for, that will turn away from the Democratic Party. And for the first time, we are seeing tonight that Black Americans are done with the plantation narrative. So it's an astounding night all around. Be excited, be happy. I'm thrilled. I'm over the moon about all of this.
I don't need you to look at me and feel bad for me because of the color of my skin. And that's effectively what you're doing. Every time you take an application, you say, oh, well, this girl's Black, so I kind of feel bad for her, so I'm going to put her at the top of the line. It's just not necessary. You are basically saying that Black Americans cannot do it on their own.
I'm of mixed background. What am I supposed to mark on an application? Am I supposed to mark multiple boxes?
Mark Black.
That's a terrible thing to tell someone to do.
Well, it's the truth because you believe in affirmative action. So I said Mark Black. I'm in an interracial relationship, so I can speak to this. I have a son that's half white and a son that's half Black and a daughter that's half white and half Black. Okay. They're going to mark Black because I know that there are people like you at the universities who will say, well, because this person is Black, I'm just going to let them in.
No, they're going to mark Black because they're Black.
Well, they're half Black and half white. They're both. Yes. What are you going to look at that applicant as a little bit less because they're half white? How do you guys figure that out?
Holistically, across a number of different factors.
I love me a buzzword. Holistically and racial consciousness.
Oh, yeah? Reverse discrimination is a buzzword.
It's not reverse discrimination. It's just discrimination. It's just racism if you're judging people on the basis of their skin.
Black Lives Matter.
I'm so tired of this fake victim narrative of every person that gets into a circumstance. We ignore the facts of the case. First and foremost, what do you even know about these cases?
But I don't understand how you don't appear to have empathy for the literal Black American lived experience in the hoods that you reference.
Candace Owens exposes the truth behind Black Lives Matter in a story you won't forget.
You can't just account, what my experience is because I don't run around acting like a victim. I am not going to play a game and pretend and lie to people that if you lean into victimhood, you could be successful. My frustration is that we are the only community in the world that will riot for our criminals while taking down people that could advance the Black community. It is impossible for any community to get ahead when the tribalism is, the mentality of the pact is, well, I don't want to hear any details about Breonna Taylor and what happened that night because it doesn't matter because she shouldn't have been, it doesn't matter what her boyfriend and he was dealing with, blah, blah, blah. And then that person who gets on a t-shirt and who you're flooding money to. While at the same time, we attack the people that are the intellectuals. With all of the money in the world, would you choose to live in an all-Black neighborhood? I want you to think about that. Whether you're Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, would you choose to live in an all-Black neighborhood? Black Americans representing 13% of the population, and we can actually make that smaller. Let's say 6% of the population, let's talk about specifically Black men, account for 51% of all of the murders in America. That is a fact. It is a fact that people get very angry when you say it. For some reason, you have to pretend that's not true. They go, oh, well, it doesn't matter because they're killing other Black people. That's their argument. White people kill white people, Black people kill Black people. Okay, yes, but we are the most murderous group in America, despite only representing 6% of the population. You are accounting for over 51% of all of the murders, Black men. We also account for 50% of all of the robberies. These are stunning numbers, and we should be able to talk about them in a way that is honest and in a way in which we can fix those issues, but we're not allowed to, because if you do, and you're a black person like me, well, you get accused of being a black white supremacist because people are really smart on the internet. That's why you get accused of being a black white supremacist. But also the real reason is because they don't want to actually fix these issues. So, since these issues are not getting fixed because we refuse to talk about them realistically by examining what's behind these issues, being the fact that Black Americans have a broken down family, and broken down families, fatherless absence, leads to high crime societies, high crime neighborhoods. There is a direct correlation there that nobody wants to talk about. Instead, they want to go, racism, it's racist if you arrest and imprison a black man after he has murdered another black man. I don't know, it's not my logic, it's theirs. But it does beg the question, how do you respond to that truth? How do you respond to the fact that a small portion of the population, black men, are accounting for 51% of all murders in this nation? Would you want to live near black men? One more question, because I'm sure you've gotten this question tons of times, but are you going to run in 2024? And if so, can I be your vice president?
Oh, that's very interesting. Wow, what a good choice that would be. That would be fantastic.
Trump Owens, 24?
Yeah, I think that's a great, I would be huge. You would be fantastic. And, I really appreciate the job you do, and everybody does. The answer is I'm absolutely enthused. I look forward to doing an announcement at the right time. As you know, it's very early, but I think people are going to be very, very happy when I make a certain announcement. And, for campaign finance reasons, you really can't do it too early because it becomes a whole different thing. Otherwise, I'd give you an answer that I think you'd be very happy with. But so we are looking at that very, very seriously, and all I say is stay tuned.
Yeah, we'll take you at your word, and that means that in 2024, Trump and Owens are going to be on the ticket.
Candace Owens is another prime example of a conquistador, a coonologist, studies the art of coonery. So apparently, Candace Owens is upset that Donald Trump did not pick her for his cabinet. I said this before, that Candace Owens was planning to try to get into the presidency simply by the amount of kissing up that she was doing when she previously criticized Donald Trump himself. So Candace Owens tweeted this: "I can't believe I was overlooked for the ambassador to Israel." It is so sad that Candace Owens is a smart black woman, but she is literally the pick-me of the politician world. And the one moment that she did stand up for black people, she was fired. Whenever she stood up for black people, she was fired, terminated. And yet she still tap dances for the masses. The shucking and the jiving don't stop.
Trump actually got upset with me because, and here's the great irony, the richest irony, the Daily Beast ran a headline regarding that live Instagram that you just heard from me. And the headline was, Candace Owens says Trump is pro-vax because he's too old to understand the internet. I never once called Trump too old. I never once said that Trump could not understand the internet. And yet somehow he got that information and believed it to be true. He thought that I said that he was too old and that he couldn't understand the internet, and did not quite get the information that actually what I was saying was a defense of him, so that his supporters would still believe in him. Not only was he just mad, by the way, he then, during a golf session with some mutual friends of ours, had a person next to him who was egging this on, saying to Trump, and I know this because, again, this is a mutual friend, "Aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace?" And eventually he was like, "Yeah, I'm so mad at Candace. I'm so mad at Candace." And this got back to me that he was upset with me, that he was angry at me. And the next time that I saw him, he was quite rude to me. He was actually rude to me. I'm telling you this personal story because I think it is something that made me, for the first time, question him as a person. So you have an individual that spent years defending you, right? And that individual gave you a completely kind and fair interview. You said something yourself that your base didn't like, and you somehow transformed that into something that I did wrong. That's unacceptable. That is not being a leader. That is not owning things that you did wrong. That is not owning that you misunderstood something about your base. That's not growing. That's not developing. In fact,
he should have tried to understand why the base was so upset with him, which would have led to the fact that his base is not pro-COVID vaccine. It's that simple. I understood that. I could have told him that. But at that moment, I realized that he's not listening. Who is this guy next to him trying to egg him on to be angry at me for trying to defend him, to say that he's not a shill, to say, no, actually, I think that he genuinely does support the vaccines. He did genuinely support the vaccines. So all of this going on made me, again, question him if he was becoming too angry, which is to say that when Trump went into the election in 2016, he was having fun, right? He was naming people, giving them fun names, enjoying the base, having a good time. I would even say in 2020, you could feel the energy. It was electric. I think after the 2020 election, and because of the shock of all the things that happened and the answers that we never really feel that we got, this like sinking realization that we might be actually losing our country, I think that it pushed him into an angry space where he doesn't trust anybody, where he doesn't listen to anybody, where he's almost likely to believe that everybody's trying to turn their back on him and stab him in the back. And again, I don't believe that that's leadership, but I never spoke on that because I thought to myself, I think that that's a lot of ego that Trump is having right now, but maybe I'm being egotistical. Maybe me even speaking out about this is me being offended and butthurt that he was so rude to me. He was so rude to me on the basis of what he said. But after time, I've realized that no, these discussions that everybody is having, these conservative influencers are having behind Trump's back should be also had with the public as well.
The size of Brigitte's hands, and again, I'm not trying to be mean, guys. We're just taking a look at everything. The sheer size of Brigitte's hands, the one thing that you can't operate on, right? You can't just be like, I'm going to go in and get new feet or new hands. I mean, you could, but that would probably render your hands and your feet totally dysfunctional. But in terms of cosmetics, yeah, no, you can't do that. Look at this video on Instagram. Wait until Brigitte is standing. You'll see that right hand, the one that doesn't have the bag. It's crazy. It is going to get crazy. Hold on one second. Right there. Look at the size of that hand. That is a very large hand. I'm going to put that right there. That is a very large hand for a madame. Almost forgot that Trump tweeted twice about me on Friday. That's kind of sad, right? That's how you know you're just slipping into irrelevancy. You're the president of the United States, you tweet, and it's not even making the news like it used to because it's just too long. You're just saying too much. No one wants to read it. They don't have time. I have a book club. Maybe we'll read it in one of my book club meetings. I have no idea what on earth he was watching aboard Air Force One on Fox News that set off his little spree of anger this time. But he wrote this on Truth Social. I'm on Air Force One, heading to Las Vegas and Arizona for greetings and speeches on no tax on tips, a windfall for our great American citizens. I am watching one of the least attractive and talented people on all of television, Jessica Tarlov. Her voice is so grating and terrible, I had to turn her off. Her Democrat sound bites are fake. She makes up poll numbers and nobody challenges her because she's so boring. I have among the best poll numbers I have ever had, and why shouldn't I? All the country does is win. CNN had me at 100% saying they never saw that before. Get her off air. She is bad for our country. I hear Megyn Kelly, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens are dying fast. Their numbers are terrible. Nobody believes them anymore. They were fake MAGA. And now they've been exposed. President DJT. He's definitely not writing these. Just so you guys, this isn't even how he speaks. This is not how he speaks. So I don't know who has access to this feed, but it's not Trump. Okay? It's just not Trump. He had a second tweet as well, a follow-up where I think he called me mentally ill. He called me mentally ill. He mentioned Megyn Kelly again. She didn't get a name that time. Sorry, Megyn. Looks like you're dying fast because I got called like 3 names over the weekend. You only got called 2. So I'm big time now. But it makes you wonder who is actually drafting these messages, who even are Trump's advisors anymore. He used to be surrounded by sane and rational people. Now he is accusing people like me and Tucker and Megyn of being irrelevant and mentally ill. Meanwhile, Laura Loomer claims she is his #1 advisor, and she speaks to him almost daily. And that right there might be the biggest clue as to why Trump is behaving like he is off the rails, right? It's kind of like you eventually just become the people that you spend your most time with and you spend your most time speaking to, right? You become an average. And so President Trump went from Charlie Kirk, right? Charlie Kirk had his ear to Laura Loomer. And I think you guys need to more fully grasp not just who Laura Loomer is, but what Laura Loomer is, okay? I met Laura Loomer years ago. I was on the way to do one of my first events, the David Horowitz Center, and we happened to be on the same plane. She was crying because Twitter had removed her check mark. This was back when Jack Dorsey had it. Since we lived nearby, I was friendly with her, never had an issue with her because I just don't see a reason to start with people and have issues with people. There are tons of crazy people. And I felt very sad for her too, because she was sort of living in a rented basement in Westchester by herself. And she didn't have any friends that could take her to go get her wisdom teeth out. And she asked me if I could pick her up, right? And I never shared that story because I felt sad for her. Like she had no friends and no family in her life that could pick her up after a procedure that she needed to get done. And I did that, right? Let me tell you something, and this is just reality, okay? Going back to just the rules of the jungle, okay? Let all the politicians and advisors around you evaporate for just a moment. Just you and me, ready? People will not fight beside, behind, or for someone who is fundamentally disloyal, okay? If disloyalty and deceit is in your nature, then I highly suggest that you combine it with silence. You can be what you are, but I would advise you do it quietly, Trump, because MAGA is no longer commanded by you. And you know it. You know it. You belong to the Epstein class. That is your legacy now. People will see your name on buildings, whatever was agreed upon in those boardrooms, Jared Kushner, Trump, Gaza, hotel, whatever you tweeted, so crass. They will see that. You will earn that. And then when they see it, they will think about how many children had to die or be raped by men on islands so that you could stick the Trump name upon a building. And for clarity, Mr. President, that's not my fault. That's not Megyn Kelly's fault. That's not Tucker Carlson's fault. You made that trade. You chose money above respect. And what an absolute shame that you chose to do that toward the end of your life, okay? Because you can't take money and things and stuff with you when you go, just your soul. And you sold yours for what? Another gilded ballroom? Let me be perfectly clear when I say this. Charlie Kirk, he died free. You will most certainly die a slave. Okay? You are in chains right now, and the entire world can see that perfectly. At best, what you can hope for in this moment is that maybe one day upon the college campuses that you so deeply cherish, they'll teach all about your now tarnished legacy as the perfect modern day example of Plato's allegory of the cave. You're familiar with that one? The prisoner chained in a cave, multiple prisoners chained in a cave with a fire burning behind them, mistaking shadows on the wall for reality. And when one of those prisoners escapes and makes it outside of the cave and into true daylight and sees, oh wait, that's not reality, and they return and they try to tell the other prisoners, no, there's truth and there's actual reality outside. They fight that person. They don't believe it. They call that person crazy. That's you. You are chained inside of a cave right now. And who's making those shadows on the wall, right? At best, the annals of history, I think within them you will be relegated to a philosophical discussion. The madness of President Trump. People will ask, who made Mr. Trump believe the shadows on the wall were real? The professor will chide the class, and in essays, students will cite the example of the man who was once considered a leader of a movement, suddenly reduced to sitting on the side in the Situation Room at the White House while the leader of a foreign country, Benjamin Netanyahu, stands above him, convincing him that Iran represents an imminent threat which can be crippled within weeks. Yeah, the students in that class will be mystified. It will be such a compelling examination. Good discussion. Bibi is your master. Maybe it's Miriam Adelson that lights the fire and Bibi that makes the shadows on the wall. But the entire world recognizes that now. And though I highly doubt that you will be permitted any opportunity to see what the crowd now thinks of you, I have to do my best to try.
Yo, Candace Owens is proof that you can coon 365 days a year. And as long as you cooning, they'll love you, they'll support you, they'll help you make money. But the second you go against them, they will remind you who they always thought you were. Like, come on now, this is crazy. Now, me personally, I'm not a fan of Candace Owens. Do I think that she's an intelligent person? Yes. Do I believe that she's a grifter? Absolutely. Do I think that her integrity wavers? Sure. But yeah, this is a very real post that Donald Trump made about Candace, and I think it's crazy. But a blind man could have told you this was coming, because this is a tale as old as time. As long as you bow down and kiss the ring of white supremacy, you'll get rewarded. But they will throw you out with the quickness and remind you that you are not redeemable and you were never one of them. They were just making temporary space for you.
Are you done with Donald Trump, or could you see a way that you would end up perhaps voting for him? Oh, yeah, he can't run again, obviously, but would you support him publicly again?
So I want to be clear. I don't regret voting for Donald Trump above Kamala. I think he was the better candidate, certainly a better candidate above Joe Biden. But what I will say is that he's been a chronic disappointment. And I feel embarrassed that I told people to go vote for him because this wasn't going to happen, and it is happening. But I just think that the picture of politics in America is going to look very differently because of his actions. So I don't know where we go from here. I really don't. But this is not the candidate that I voted for.
I don't recognize this administration right now. I don't recognize what's happening. I have a theory.
Stay where you're at, Candace. We don't need you to come over near the group of people who already knew that Donald Trump would do racist and bigoted things when he clearly said he will do racist and bigoted things. For you to say you did not see this coming is a real insult and a smack in the face to millions of people. And I will never give somebody who is smart the grace to call them stupid, because she's not stupid. She's a grifter, and she's doing what grifters do. And now, because she did not get a spot on the same administration she is talking down on, she now wants to turn on them. And it's crazy because now her fan base is turning on her, showing you that this is not her fan base. They like the bigoted things that she was saying. They like the bigoted things that she was doing. They like the justification that she gives them from a black person. When she sits on the stages with white nationalists and people who say other racist and bigoted things towards people of color, and they sit there and say, you see, there's a black person agreeing with us, they like that feeling. But now, because she's not giving them that feeling, people are turning on her, thus proving what everybody else has been saying. You are pandering to a group of people who don't even like you. And the crazy thing is that every time she has gotten fired from a job, or her fan base has already turned on her before, she went to one group of people, the people that look exactly like her. Don't fall for it.
Trump administration is fighting against free speech in America. And that is very sad for me to say and to report as someone who has been a supporter of Donald Trump. We cannot allow our rights to be infringed upon. And if you think it's going to stop with college campuses, you're out of your mind. So you better buck up and root for Harvard University in this fight. You better hope that they defeat the Trump administration and this absurd definition. They even include parts of the Bible.
Yeah, this one right here, folks, really breaks my heart. More specifically because Candace is somebody who has had, I guess, an influence throughout my journey of starting to think for myself, especially being a young black man and being caught up in all the propaganda there is that is targeted specifically to us. Candace was a valuable asset in that journey. But where we have gotten now, the year of our Lord 2025, I could have never imagined 8 years back, 6 years back, 5 years back, right? Where I would have to question whether or not Candace is genuine or she has actually truly lost her way. And I know this is going to piss off a lot of y'all who have become, super fans to sicko fans of Candace. Like, there is no criticism that can be said. But I got to keep it all the way real with y'all. Either she is compromised, which means that there is somebody in her pocket as well as her ear, or she never really believed in what she claimed to believe in this entire time. And I would hate to say that it is either of those. I would really like to think that, she is just not thinking for herself or not in her right mind per se, Because I'll be lying if I said that she has not been an intelligent individual throughout the history that most of us have known her, or at least quote unquote known her, right? We don't necessarily know her. We just know of what she shows us about her in the same way everybody else does on the internet. But yeah, this was a tough pill to swallow. This one right here hits different. So yeah, I would recommend to continue to do your own research, to think for yourself, and don't put your trust in personality. Put your trust in the evidence, the truth, right? Even if it's uncomfortable, look into the truth. Even if it goes against all that you claim you know or think you know, seek out the truth.
I'm a lawyer in real life. I don't play one on television. I would stake my entire professional reputation on the fact that Brigitte Macron is in fact a man. But wait, that's not what I'm saying. Those are not my words. Those are the words of Candace Owens. And today, the president of France and his wife, Brigitte Macron, have filed a defamation lawsuit against her, and they have said FAFO. And let's talk about this lawsuit. We are entering an era where politicians and celebrities are not allowing people to defame them without taking action. So the president of France and his wife have filed this lawsuit, and let's get into some of the claims. And one of the first statements in this lawsuit, right off the rip, they say that plaintiff Brigitte Macron is a French citizen, the spouse of the current president of France, and a woman. So they make that clear right up front. They say she was born Brigitte, I can't pronounce her last name, on April 13, 1953. She is the youngest of 6 children. She gave birth to 3 children from her first marriage, and that she is a former teacher. And in 2007, she married Emmanuel Macron. The Macron state in this lawsuit that Candace knows her claims are false, and that they are absolutely false, that they are baseless, that Brigitte Macron is not a man and has never been a man. So this lawsuit is long. I'm going to have to break it down, but that's the beginning. Those are just the base facts.
Candace Owens? Are you aware your lawyers are Zionists? Candace is like, yeah. I mean, I'm racist. I'm not stupid. Of course my lawyers are Zionists. If I could, I would go to Israel right now and handpick them. What do you think? I was going to get a black lawyer? Do I look crazy to you? Do I look like I want a DEI black lawyer to you? Do I want a regular white? No. I want a Jewish lawyer from Israel. That's all that matters. It's me winning this case against the Macrons, or else they're going to sue my pants off from all of this lies and manipulation. Basically, she's just manipulating algorithm. That's why she brings up Charlie Kirk every week or two, bro, so she can stay in the algorithm, making conspiracies and lying and fabricating. I hope her lawyers throw the case. I hope they do.
I don't know what you people need to understand and see that Candace Owens is a poison. Now that the defamation lawsuit is coming to bear, and it's a pretty serious one, Candace Owens all of a sudden decides to hire a Zionist Jewish lawyer, Mark Kasowitz. This dude represents Zionist Organizations of America. He sued Harvard and Columbia for anti-Semitism. And he was also a lawyer on Trump's team as an ambassador to Israel. And Candace Owens hires this dude to defend her against the Macrons, I guess, that are suing her for defamation. If this doesn't convince you that she is a grifting deceiver, if this doesn't make you at least raise an eyebrow at her hypocrisy, she puts herself out there as this champion for truth and this warrior for just standing on truth, and she's gonna die on this hill and all that, and yet she hires a lawyer who stands for everything she hates about Israel. Are you guys seeing this yet? Go Max Candace, right? Her entire history as a figure in a public figure has been one that is an opportunist. She fooled even me. I liked Candace for a long time until she went loopy. She even retweeted one of my posts a long time ago. Y'all better jump off this Candace train because, whew.
Candace, I'm gonna leave it at that because I don't even want her name in my lips. When Candace said something, he was like, but she was right. I said, how many black people have said what Candace said? How many white people, even Bill Maher, has said what Candace was saying before Candace said? Candace is like a fireman who start a fire and come back and burn a building out and say, oh, we shouldn't have did it. She's an arsonist. But she's also somebody who says, whoever buying me, I'm riding with. Because if Trump them take her back, she'll come right back with them and ride back with them. That's why I don't like, we got to stop bringing in the ops. Like when I was sitting there writing a book, I said, damn, how many times we've been destroyed by people in the house? It was like The Godfather. It was like Carlito's Way. They all was destroyed from the inside. It's the same thing. When you look at Denmark Vesey, Nat Turner, it was always the inside of the house because we so forgiving.
That's how
we
the
so
government do. Yeah, COINTELPRO.
Yeah,
they always infiltrate inside.
Yeah, but they had to find somebody who all they need is a little more hug than we do. You know what I mean?
I love how often Candace Owens makes it her goal to remind us how much of a grifter she actually is. Because there are black conservatives and there are conservatives that just happen to be black. Candace Owens is a black conservative. First of all holidays are made up. And second of all, why would you not want to celebrate the day that your country made a crucial and historic policy decision? And any conservative is lying to themselves if they think that the emancipation of slavery wasn't a significant moment in American history. But black conservatives like Candace Owens have to make it extremely clear to everyone that the way in which they are a black conservative is in opposition to black people purely and solely. Because if this wasn't the case, what other holidays based on historic moments would she also have a problem with? But how much can I expect from someone who thinks that believing in climate change is a way to extract dollars from Americans?
Candace Owens is claiming that the president of France is organizing her assassination. She claims that these are the same people that helped take Charlie Kirk out, and she believes that these threats are credible. See, I saw a thread that said, protect Candace Owens, and to that I replied, she'll be all right. And for that I was told, I guess you don't protect all black women, and it's like, hey. Nobody wants anything to happen to Clan, but the math ain't mathin' on this one. See, the French president and his wife is suing Candace because she went around saying that the French president's wife has a big old schlong, a French baguette, if you will. Big old dang-a-lang just swinging it all over France. The French president and his wife want their coins. That's why they're suing you. So why would they have you killed? Plus, she says she reached out to the Trump administration for help and they refused to help her, but that doesn't make any sense either. Candace spent years on her platform telling us that the Trump administration was for us, that he was a better candidate, that America wasn't racist, that Kamala wasn't black enough. In fact, she wasn't black at all. And all those conspiracy theories against black people were fake news. Now, if the Trump administration refuses to help you, that would mean that you spent all these years grifting and lying for money. And well, Candace has spent weeks talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination. She says that she doesn't believe that Tyler Robinson is the one that killed him, and that she doesn't think it has to do with trans people at all, but that can't be true. It's all trans people's fault, right, Candace? That's why you spent so long talking about the French president's wife's penis, because it's all a transpiracy. And then I can't forget Breonna Taylor. When Breonna Taylor was murdered inside of her home, Candace said that she should have been hanging out with better people, when we found out that her ex-boyfriend was a drug dealer. Well, I don't want anything to happen to Candace, and I'll be praying for her safety, but if something does happen, it seems like that would be a direct result of hanging around the wrong people. I mean, what type of people organizes assassinations and has no regards for human lives? What type of people don't care about human lives? And she bet not take a Tylenol, because then they'll say that she died of an overdose of autism. Nonetheless, I think she'll be all right. She's selling t-shirts and I'm selling journals. Go on down to KitaSaid.com if you want to support me. They're really great. But if something does go down, don't start that shit y'all did with Charlie Kirk, because we are not Candace Owens. But you do have to admit the song is good.
We are Charlie Kirk. We carry the flame. We fight for the gospel of his name.
So,
I watched Candace Owens' open letter, open video to Donald Trump, the Trump administration, and it's about 21 minutes long. And I was going to make this video regardless, but I think to really understand her perspective, what she was trying to say, I made the conscious decision to waste 21 minutes of my life watching said video before responding, before giving my commentary. And I'm going to try to remain calm, cool, no screaming into my microphone, though I am resisting the urge to do so, because I'm not going to lie, y'all, I'm really pissed the off watching that video. And it's for a variety of reasons. The first being, Candace, this political mantra, this ideology, this dogma that's going on and that's behest and being spread by President Donald Trump and all of his allies, sweetheart, you were one of the main co-conspirators in this. So we're just going to ignore the fact that you triple trumped, you voted for that man 3 times, that you followed this political ideology on 3 separate presidential runs. We're ignoring the fact that you were a co-contributor in all of this. And it's not just Candace, right? There's a bunch of sympathizers and people who've seen the light, yada, yada, yada. I don't give a about any of that. So let's just be very clear, okay? I don't. And the simple fact is, in that 21 minutes of her spewing all of this bullshit that we all already knew was going to happen because of Project 2025, it was literally an open book test. Not once did she acknowledge her culpability in all of this shit. She is still trying to push an agenda to make it seem like she has seen the light and she's understand the wrongs of her ways, when the reality is, if you would have gotten a Trump job, if you was up there instead of stupid ass, flat mouth as Caroline, you would not have shit to say. If Erica Kurt would have included you in Turning Point USA and brought you back, you would have nothing to say. You're only on this topic because it's feeding your coffers because of your case, which, congratulations, because I looked it up. Congrats on the motion to dismissal in April. So happy for you, Candace. So now you can continue on your platform with other and leave the Macrons alone. You are now saying that you're going to be looking into the Epstein files, and a lot of what she said was so rooted in actual anti-Semitism. Not cool with me. I think there's a difference between critiquing the state of Israel and what is happening in the perpetuation of multiple genocides than being actually anti-Semitic and saying some wild, crazy shit. And Candace loves saying wild, crazy, anti-Semitic shit. But the fact of the matter is, you are also culpable in this. And all of you Trump, apologists and regrets, you don't get off scot-free. You don't get to then pivot and move on because you don't want to acknowledge the fact that you contributed to the thousands of people who have died in Palestine, the hundreds of children who have died in Iran, the hundreds of military service people who have died and are injured in the Middle East because we have a president that you voted in, that you emboldened to go in and do whatever he wanted to do. Because the reality is, and I said this back, almost a year and a half ago, back in November 2024, we all knew this was going to happen, and you all voted for him anyway because you did not think the consequence would be coming to your front door. That's why you're all apologetic. You're so sorry. You didn't know. You knew. You didn't care. You didn't give a shit. And the reason why you didn't give a shit is because it never occurred to you that these policies would be harmful. And for your case, Candace, you didn't realize that your loyalty as an active cult member was going to pay you dividends in getting a position within the Trump administration. And when he said, peace out, Girl Scout, all of a sudden you had a epiphany. And also the tragic hero of it all with Charlie is just also very weird, okay? He was a podcaster who went to college campuses arguing with children instead of adults with fully developed frontal lobes about political ideologies. We're not giving him more than that. He said black women, because you've never denounced him saying this, are idiotic and DEI hires. So what do you think that he really thought about you? You're on this crusade because it's filling your coffers against his wife. Because, baby, what else do you got going on? Nobody's calling your line to go be a CNN commentator, Fox News, MSNBC, hell, YouTube. Nick Fuentes don't fool with you. All of the conservative folks that are continuing this rhetoric, and then the people who have legitimately, allegedly seen the damn light, they're not calling your line either, babe. So guess what? I don't give a about that video that you posted about Donald Trump and condemning him, because you participated in that. He got elected into office because of people like you. Project 2025 was readily available. We were warned. You didn't give a because you didn't think it would cost you anything, and it has. And though there's one point she and I actually do agree on, is that it's not a matter of Democrat, Republican, right or left. It's about evil. It's about people being put in positions of power and supporting evil because it benefits them. You, Candace, are one of those people. So I don't want to hear, I don't give a, I really don't. I don't give a that she's found the light and she's righting her wrongs and she's doing all of this when this all could have been avoided had she just read Project 2025. Because it was an open book test. So you don't get to commentate and say, Israel this, Trump that. You were also involved in it. You're also complicit in it. And I don't respect the fact that she can't acknowledge that. Now, how she went on her microphone and been like, hey, bro, I contributed to this and this is my opportunity to right wrongs. You know what you could do? Because you live in Tennessee, right? Midterm elections. I keep telling y'all about midterms. Get boots on the ground. Stop with all this investigative conspiracy bullshit and get on the ground. Figure out who the hell is up for re-election in Tennessee. Vote those people out. You run, Candace. Or you know you won't win because you're a black woman in Tennessee. Questions that need answers. But anyway, that's all I got to say. I'm annoyed. I'm probably going to go to Chick-fil-A and go get me a sandwich, even though I'm not supposed to be eating fast food. But my brain, she can't take it. Be so fucking, excuse me. Be so fucking for real, Candace.
I totally agree with Dominique, the creator I have at the end of the video. I agree with everything that she says. And she is now backtracking because she sees that she can't gain anything more from the Trump administration. They didn't want to let her in, and she's like, oh, okay, well, I guess why am I aligning myself with you? I need to come out and start telling people how I really feel about all the crazy stuff that he's doing right now. That's why you're seeing her like condemn him, because she realizes that, oh, this is not looking good. So I need to change my strategy to grift even more, to get to the part of MAGA that's not really happy with what he's doing and think he's off his rocker right now. And I think that's all that it is, because before he could do no wrong. Oh, he was better than Biden, better than Kamala, as you saw in the first one. She doesn't even want to say she regrets her vote. And this is what I've always been saying. Like, they never will want to say they regret their vote. But, oh, she's embarrassed that she told people to vote for him. Like, how does those two thoughts coexist in the same statement? You're embarrassed that you told people to vote for him, but you don't regret your vote. You can no longer stand alongside with some of the things that he's doing, but you don't regret it. Okay, I don't know how she could try to make that make sense, but you know, she's a talker, so she could talk her way out of a lot. I hate to sound like a broken record. I know I say this a lot, but we told everyone who aligned themselves with MAGA, even these MAGA influencers, that this was going to happen. And look how many of them are starting to crack. and fold because they're like, I can't say that I agree with this anymore, even for money. And that's what it's like for Candace because she realizes that, oh, like I'm not getting anything else from the Trump administration. So why am I sitting here trying to convince people that I am? I think I could get further ahead by telling them how I don't agree with what he's doing. And of course, now with her dissent of what he's doing, Trump came out and told her how he really feels about her. Of course, what was the first thing he chose to do? He wanted to use stereotypical imagery of her. From what I've heard, that was a real picture of her that he used on the mock-up of the Time magazine cover. I think something about she took that when she was sick or something. That's what I heard. Definitely let me know down below if it was from something else. But what was the first thing that he decided to do and say once she started to speak out against what he's doing? He went and pulled the stereotypical hood black woman look. And now how does she feel about that? The very thing she was trying to warn MAGA against with the black people. Oh, these stereotypical hood people, they're dangerous. They commit crimes, blah, blah, blah. But now look at how he wants MAGA to see you depicted as. We told you this was what was going to happen. But you were like, oh no, Trump all the way. Oh, I would not feel safe raising my children under her administration, whatever she said. But look at what's happening now. Do you and your husband feel any safer raising your children under this man's presidency when we're in a whole war? I'm sure with higher prices, it is affecting her too. But I mean, she has millions of dollars. So she's not like the common everyday person like us who's having to worry about it. But she's still being affected because look at what's happening. The switch up is real. She's trying to get that grift from another angle, and she's just trying to backtrack and act like Trump is doing everything wrong now. He could never do wrong before, but now he's doing wrong, and she speaks about it every day, saying about, oh, he types, and this is the kicker. She never mentioned about the length of his posts or anything previously, but now they're all, oh, they're so long and drawn out, and nobody wants to read all that, which I agree. But you weren't saying that before. He was saying deranged stuff on Truth Social and previously when he was able to be on Twitter. You weren't saying that before. You was reading it and saying that you agree with what he said, most likely. Now, I don't want to claim like I know everything that she agreed with him on. I never watched her YouTube show or whatever else like platform she was on like me. And I'm just going to say for me personally, I don't consume things that I don't agree with. I get it. Some people like to do it from a perspective of seeing what other people are saying. And there's nothing wrong with that. And the clip that I have there about would you want to live in a black community if you had an unlimited amount of money, that was just the biggest piece of propaganda. And I hate to use propaganda because I feel like it's just thrown around, but I don't know what other word to say right now. But the way that she tried to frame it as, oh, black people are so dangerous. You don't want to live there. They don't want to acknowledge that they commit the most amount of crime in comparison to the population of the community. Oh, they don't want to acknowledge the fact that it's something that we need to work on. They like the fact that, there's so much crime going on and they don't want to fix it. That was all a ploy to make it seem like the black community is fine with how it is with the crime and it's only going to get worse. And that was something she wanted to put out to MAGA as if, oh, she's trying to do something. She's trying to come up with a solution to resolve like the high crime rates, but she's trying to frame it to MAGA as if like, oh, it's only going to get worse because they don't want to acknowledge it. They hate when you talk about it. And I mean, I agree with her. I feel like we do need to have a way to speak about it, but she didn't come up with any solutions in how to do that. Now, again, maybe on her platform, she's mentioned that in other videos or something. Again, y'all let me know if y'all follow her, if she did. But in that particular clip, she used the scenario in a fear-mongering way. As if, oh, I know you would never want to live in a black neighborhood. That was used as a talking point to cause fear amongst MAGA against black people. That was the agenda to begin with Candace coming out and being the quote unquote mouthpiece for the black community for MAGA, because they want to frame it as, oh, look, we have this black woman right here saying exactly what we're saying, so we can't be lying. That's exactly the angle they took, and Candace just let them use her this entire 10 years. But now she's all used up and she realized, like, hey, I've been speaking for y'all and y'all still doing this BS and I can't stand beside it. You didn't even want to let me in your cabinet, be this in this position or that position. Then I'm going to speak out on you. And we knew that it would come to this because we know anybody that aligns themselves who is a person of color, they are only used to get votes and they're only used to reinforce MAGA's racist ideals. A lot of people in the black community have seen what she's been about this entire time. It's just all about morals. If she's against demonic people are in his ear and who's in his pocket, you were a part of that because you reinforce his hateful ideals and his rhetoric. And now that it's no longer benefiting you and you're realizing that you're getting nothing from it, now you want to speak out against it. You voted for the man 3 times and swore like he's the best candidate ever. And now you're like, oh, I don't like what he's doing. This man needs to be institutionalized. 25th Amendment, whatever she's been saying. And now she still even refuses to say she regrets her vote, but is saying all of this. I don't even know what to say at this point because it just kind of seems like everything is starting to crumble as we knew it would. And a lot of people not going to want to admit that, but it is. The cracks are forming, and I've been saying that since last year. The signs were there since last year, and she started speaking out about them since last year as well. There's a whole bunch of other issues. So she's kind of been working on this for a minute now and trying to strategize at like what angle was she going to be able to redirect the grift to. And now she's found it, because now with the Charlie Kirk stuff and the fact that he passed away, now she's using that as content and more conspiracy type things to keep putting out there, Erica and all that. And that's another thing, is like now that she realized not even Turning Point is wanting to associate with her. Well, I mean, obviously now at this point, but previously around the time that Charlie died, it's also another thing again for her to talk about, to where like she could use those conspiracies to grift even further so that people could be skeptical of what's happening with all of the Turning Point stuff as well. So people are hip to the game, and like I'm going to keep saying, we told you so. Nobody likes to hear that, but it's true. I hope that she is taking all of this in. Even with the lawsuit with Brigitte Macron, like why did you even put yourself in her business like that? I don't know where that stemmed from, where that started, but why did you continuously start to talk about it? Because your fans were interacting with that and they were commenting and wanting to see you talk about that more. Like, why did you play into that? I have no idea where that even came from. And they stood their ground. Now they're suing you. You could lose everything if they win, and they have probably grounds to do that, because defamation, I mean, of course I don't know the law, but I mean, they probably have a good case. And the fact that she hired that lawyer, even more hypocrisy. They just always want to perpetuate hypocrisy but never want to acknowledge it. But when Democrats do it, oh, they're all over it. And I'm not mad at that. Call out hypocrisy when you see it, but don't act like the people on your side don't do it. Absolutely not, when y'all do it the most. So I guess we'll have to see what's happening with this lawsuit. The one guy saying that they hope they throw the case. I mean, you never know at this rate. Trump might have some lawyers in his pocket and might do that just to destroy her. And that would be what she voted for. And that's what she stood behind if that were to happen. Whatever happens from here on out, she has to live with, because now she wants to backtrack, but nobody's going to forget the fact that you stood with him for so long, and when you realize that there was nothing left to gain from it, you're wanting to back away now. Nope, we will never forget that you spewed all of this hateful things that he said, but you tried to make it in an angle like, hey, I tried to tell them, they're not listening to me. And that's the funny thing. She was trying to be the DEI hire. She was trying to be the token black person in his administration, but that position was already filled. I think the director of HUD or whatever, again, of course, the urban development, that's the only person that's considered for that position. Do you notice that for this administration too? I'm sure y'all do. At least I think so. Let me know down below if it's somebody else, but I'm pretty sure the director of HUD is also a black man, so I don't know his name. With all the butt kissing, you couldn't even get a role in his administration, not to even be the press secretary, anything. And it's so cringe, that video of her talking with him on the phone. She probably knew that by the first statement that came out of his mouth is that he trying to BS me. She knew for a fact that he would never. You could just tell by the response. Whenever he say it's it's definitely great or whatever, you know he's lying, because he starts out every sentence with that. The fact that you actually thought it would be Trump Owens. I mean, at first, when I saw that clip, I thought she was joking, but then I saw people reacting to the fact that she was mad that she didn't, and then I saw that video clip with the tweet in it saying that she's disappointed that she didn't get to be the ambassador to Israel. So it's just so funny to me. But again, couldn't even respect you enough to at least give you a chance to do that. He probably would have gotten fired, because it looks like he's firing the women one by one. We tried to tell so many people what we learned from what history has taught the black community. And we even tried to do that with two people within the black community itself, but the Latino community, the Arab community, Asian. But nobody wanted to listen. They're like, oh, we got this. We know what we're backing. But look at what's happening. Everybody that we warned is finding out. Now, Candace might not be financially struggling, but her grift is probably affected for sure. Just because she's not wondering how she's going to put food on the table does not mean that she's not scrambling or struggling herself with things on her end. Now she has a huge lawsuit that she has to worry about, which doesn't really have anything to do with Trump. She said that all on her own volition. So that's something that she has to take the L on for herself. But I guess we just have to see how that case will go. But we told y'all, nobody likes to hear the we told you so. And sorry to get off topic, but now that I'm thinking of it, I have to speak on it. Just like my Latinos for Trump video. There's all kind of people in my comments saying, oh, well, why aren't you making a video on blacks for Trump? It wasn't just us. That's always the angle a lot of people that supported him want to come back at me to say. It's like, yes, I know there's people that voted for Trump in the black community, but do you just not want to face reality because it's coming from a black woman? And I'm speaking about the Latino community voting for him. You just don't like the messenger. Is that what it is? Because for me, tons of white creators have made videos on Candace and Blacks for Trump. I'm not saying anything about them because I agree with them. There's even people within the Latino community who liked my video. So why is it a problem just because I'm black that I'm saying it? Now I'm a racist and blah, 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 blah. It's you always trying to cause division or whatever. No, like I'm raising the point just like I'm raising the point for everybody. Like my objective is to hold everybody accountable. I am not coming from a racist angle. I just feel like that's being used as like a scapegoat and to deflect blame onto me like I should be sorry or I am in the wrong when you're not acknowledging the main issue at hand, which is where people within your own community voted for the demise of your own people, but yet I'm the one to blame when I'm the one who thought more about the Latino community than actual Latino for Trump people. I don't like the fact that there's a good percentage of black people for Trump. I will call it out as well. So I don't like the picking and choosing that's happening there. And of course, this is, again, I know this is a different video, but this is not geared at the Latino community. I'm speaking about the people who had the audacity to try to turn it around on me when there's a bigger issue at hand. They obviously did not watch the video, but they know that my video did not come from a racist angle. And this isn't either. Because I'm a black woman. I mean, Candace freaking should be more regarded as a racist than me. I'm not spewing stuff just to fearmonger different races and communities to be afraid of my people. But I'm going to still call it out even though she's black because that wasn't right of her to do. And now she's backtracking now that the people who used her rhetoric and what she was saying to their advantage and used her up and they're throwing her away now. But anyway, you guys, I have been talking for so long. I'm going to have to cut so much of this out. But let me know what you guys think of this down below. Of course, y'all know I want to hear what y'all think. And if you made it this far, thank you so much. And don't forget to like and subscribe because that really helps to grow the channel. And I would greatly appreciate it as always. That's all I have. Thank you once again for watching, and I'm going to catch you guys in the next video. Bye. See you later.